As Donald Trump and the Republicans were trying to sell their tax plan last year, they assured us, as the GOP always does when it comes for tax cuts, when that time comes, that it would be a massive adrenaline shot to the economy. So let's take a look at the evidence and see if they were right. Gross domestic product, GDP, a broad measure of goods and services produced in the US, rose at an annual rate of 2.3% from January through March. That's good. The figure was lower than the fourth quarter of last year, though, when GDP grew at a rate of 2.9%, and the third quarter, which saw an increase of 3.2%. Now, we do have to bear in mind that all quarters aren't equal, and the first quarter isn't necessarily as productive as later quarters. That is certainly true. However, if this is the first quarter where we had the effect of the tax cuts, and it's supposed to be a gigantic shot in the arm for it, and by the way, Trump argued that the tax cuts, which by the way, it's not $1.5 trillion, it's between $1.8 and $1.9 trillion right now, would boost US GDP to above 3%. So he was off by 0.7%. And to put it in perspective, it was lower by about 2 times as much as he said it would go up. So that is a gigantic swing in the wrong direction. And it only took between $1.5 and $2 trillion being taken from the US government, US taxpayers, and given to corporations and the wealthiest Americans. So mission accomplished.
To make things worse, that's what, it's great, awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, there was this idea that this is what the economy needed, and that was the message.
Right.
And they are messaging that, like, listen, you have more money in your pocket. And everyone likes to say that. And it's an easier sell when you do a tax cut to be like, we're cutting your taxes. No one's like, people have to know a certain amount and have to have a sophisticated enough understanding of the economy at large to look at someone who says, I'll give you a tax cut and go, no thanks, that's stupid. It's a super easy sell. This is where they have to prove it down the line, because you can point out where all the benefits are going, and it doesn't go to the average person in America.
But duh,
Right.
like this is, like I love to, on your show, I love to answer with
Brad,
like one word, duh. I think, we can't say like, it would take a lot of education to be able to say, no, keep that, but come on. This is what we've been saying the whole time.
With the money, there has been a rise in wages, and that rise had been in effect. There had been a prevailing rise in wages for 4 or 5 years. But the problem is, with all the money that had essentially been injected back into the economy, that money hasn't gone into things like wage increases, hiring, the way it should have. It has gone to like stock buybacks, things that go more into the financial sectors. The money that is in the economy over the last forever many years has been more toward capital than it has been toward wages. That's something that doesn't stop. That continues. And I will say that Trump's agenda when it comes to business interests is he's kind of, gone to the middle America people and said, like, this is for small businesses and workers. It is not.
Right.
Oh, why don't we give an example of that, actually?
Do it, John.
So we'll return to the overall effect shortly, but I want to talk about something that was pitched as being for small businesses. They love talking about small businesses. I don't know that they've ever met a small business owner, but they like talking about them in their speeches. So they had one of the tax cuts that they did was a change to pass through income, which is generally, it affects small businesses. It can also affect wealthy people who set up their income and their corporation in a particular way. So you can have pass-through income that comes as a result of your one-man business operation or one-woman business operation, or you can be Donald Trump, who supposedly is worth hundreds of millions of dollars at the very least, and do the same thing. But they said that changing this to benefit those who do pass-through income would help small business owners. Well, 44% of the new tax benefit for pass-through business owners, some of whom can now deduct 20% of their business-related incomes, goes to households earning $1 million or more every year. That adds up to $17.8 billion in benefits. Out of a total of $40.2 billion that goes to all groups, more than 3/4 of the benefit of that change goes to households earning $200,000 and higher, which actually hides a little bit of the truth. Households earning less than $100,000, which is what I would classify as actual small businesses, are expected to claim about 7% of the benefit. And I don't recall them saying we need to reform pass-through income so that small business owners can get 7% of what the wealthiest corporations and individuals are making.
When the median household income is $59,000.
Yeah, even less. I don't have the breakdown for that, unfortunately. That's the lowest increment that I can go down to, but it's pathetic. It's 7%. So best case scenario, they were 93% lying to you. And what's great though, I think the good news is that, I mean, very often I get angry at the fact that all this information is out there and people don't actually access it. They're usually content to just go to sources that tell them that they're right already and tell them what they want to hear. But in this particular case, it might have taken 10 to 20 go-rounds with tax cuts, but I think that the American people are catching on because the current tax bill has a popularity rating of something like 26%, which is very low. I mean, that's lower than that's smaller than Trump's base. So that is progress.
Yes, and there is more within his agenda that is explicitly against small business interests. We on Nerd Alert, we reported on Ajit Pai's moves with the net neutrality initiatives. Those net neutrality initiatives, what they say, are explicitly for big businesses and against small business. Essentially, he's facilitating it so that small businesses who need to do things like buy an internet access package so that their employees can go online and do, I don't know, the books, the distribution, any kind of ordering, any internet stuff. The way that the net neutrality rules even are set up are against small business. There are for large telecom corporations to make more money, and they make it more expensive for a mom and pop shop to just set up their T1 or whatever the landline is or the connection is. It's very frustrating. It's across the board, and it's borne out not just in these numbers, but in just the initiative after initiative that he has set out.
Yeah.
Even breaking it down further, it sets it up to make it harder for these small businesses to actually create jobs that people actually need and that are attainable for the majority of Americans.
And just logistically, there have been reports about how complicated and difficult it is for you to go through the process of setting this up, knowing what your tax cuts are, how to best take advantage of it. The only people who know the ins and outs are still the ones who are within the financial sectors and industries, and you still need a pricey lawyer to really figure out how best to take advantage of it. This is not the people who are still trying to make ends meet with their small business, being able to find some way to take advantage of this huge handout that obviously no one's able to take advantage of.
If you want to get the whole Young Turks show every single day, become a member, tytnetwork.com/join. And once you do, you'll be saying,
you know, I'm like a smart person.
Or you might say,
I think it's weird.
Or you might say,
oops.
No, that won't be that one. It won't be that one. It'll be great, trust me. tytnetwork.com/join.